Be helpful.
Yes. All right. All right. So we're got started. Welcome back to another episode of Aids to Scouting. I'm your host today, Elliott, and I have today joining me is former Scout leader James Collett. James Collett was one of the NYLT Scoutmasters when I was a staffer on NYLT, which is National Youth Leadership Training for those of you that are just now joining us. But if you've already listened to a few episodes, you'll know about that program, and we're going to get into that a little bit more this evening. So hi, James. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Elliot?
I'm doing well. I'm just like I was telling you before we got started, just hanging in there, taking it one day at a time, and that's all you can do. And I'm trying to right now remain helpful in my job. Tonight I would like to talk about we're doing the points of the scout law like I've mentioned, and for the viewers we're going to be doing all of them, and we're not going to do them in order because we don't have to, because each one of them is important and it doesn't matter what order they're said in unless you're at the meeting.
That's correct.
So I've been having some trouble finding. I work in customer service, and I think I might have told this on a previous episode already, but I'm a pretty good, nice, fun, happy guy, and I'm having trouble right now because the just by virtue of being in customer service, you know, it can wear you out a little bit, trying to be super nice even when they're not being nice to you or kind. You still have to try to remain kind and try to be helpful. And so anyways, do you have any comment on that before I start asking weird questions that I wrote earlier?
That's okay. Honestly, there's always that one person in your office or around you that you wish they would be more helpful, or you try to encourage them to be cheerful and helpful. I know you've talked about cheerful in one of those episodes you did, but it's also that person's background. You really don't know what's going on in their life, and that may be the reason why he's acting the way he's acting. Um, he may have something going on in the background that when he gets to work, he's just carrying it with him to work, and he's not really wanting to be helpful because something's on his mind or something weighing him down. The best side of things you can do is you can be that helpful person for him.
Yeah.
Like I said, in customer service, when he doesn't want to take that customer that really needs some help,
Mm-hmm.
you could be that one that goes, "Hey, well, let me take that one customer for you."
Mm-hmm.
You can tell he's not really wanting to help him. No, take the customer, deal, help them get what they need done, and then
Mm-hmm.
move on. Again, it's one of those things. Helpful can be a physical thing or a mental thing.
Yeah.
You being helpful may be a thing where you helping him out may make him feel better about what's going on in his world. Therefore, things start changing, and he comes towards you as, "Hey, thanks a lot for helping me out. I have a lot going on. I got a lot on my mind." You just never know what's going to trigger that time
Mm-hmm.
where he may need you to help him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, just with me helping customers, I deliver a lot of bad news. So I write service, as you know, for a lawn equipment or a power equipment company. So someone brings me something that's got an issue. Try to find out from them what their issue they're having, and get it all written up and pass it along to a technician so they can repair it for them. So that way I'm the liaison between the customer and the technician. The technician can just work and not worry about the customer part. So a lot of times in the industry, this particular industry, these guys are using these pieces of equipment to make money, right? And so if their machine is not working and it's with me for several weeks because I can't get a part, or I just have several hundred machines in line in front of them, I mostly am delivering bad news that, oh yes, we can take care of it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be covered under the warranty because it's due to neglect or misuse. So that being said, the repair cost is probably going to be somewhere around the $1,800 range, and it'll be here for 3 weeks. And nobody wants to hear that, especially when they're making money with that equipment. So I've gotten good at giving the bad news, but that inherently makes them kind of upset with me. It's not really something it's not my fault, or it is my problem, but it's not my fault. Um, and
I've
that makes
always
me.
had a statement.
Hmm?
It's hard for somebody to yell at you if you're smiling.
That's true.
So honestly, if you're giving them bad news and you come with a sincere smile, not a laughing, not
Yeah.
a "I'm sorry, your mower's broke" or whatever is broke. Uh,
Hmm.
but if you come to with sincereness and say, "Hey, I know you're using this to make money, but you're doing it with a smile," it
Hmm.
eases that pain sometimes. Again, you're going to have those customers that not going to ease anything because you got their equipment for 3 weeks.
Hmm.
Again, I've always been told, even on the phone, people can see me smiling, and a lot of it's in your voice. In your
You
voice,
can hear when somebody's smiling when they're talking to
you're
you.
when somebody's smiling.
Yeah.
So if you come to them with a smile, a lot of times it's harder for them to get angry at you
Hmm.
than it is if you're coming with them with bad news and you're in a bad mood. So
I
just
bet people have a tough time being angry with you, don't they?
they do, but they do get angry. I do have people that get angry with me. I'm in customer service as well. Uh,
Hmm.
at the company I work with, we support about close to 6,000 people.
Okay.
And I'm in the logistics industry. We
Hmm.
have drivers, we have agents, we have different customers of all types. Same type thing. You're telling in my job at being in IT, I'm telling them, hey, your internet's down for the next 8 hours because something got cut down the road. I can't control the guy that's digging the hole to fix it.
Hmm.
They can't control anything that's coming to them. But at the same time, I'm telling them, hey, let's try to figure out something. Let's try to be, helpful and try to get them somewhere somehow to be able to work in those 8 hours while they're still down.
Hmm.
A lot of times they don't want to hear that. That
Hmm.
their job depends upon that commission of that driver picking up a load to deliver it somewhere.
Hmm.
Telling them that they can't do that is not a really good answer to them. Again, delivering the message, again, you've got to be with a smile, and they'll hear me on the phone. And they're like, I am doing all I can to make sure you get up as quick as possible. I'm calling your internet provider. I'm calling your whoever I need to in your chain of command. I'll tell them, I'll call whoever you need me to let them know you're not down because of something they did.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
That's the other, like I said, it's not my fault, but it is my problem. So,
Right.
and therein lies the thing is it's still a problem. And I think something I've tried to do to remain helpful is when you're working in customer service like this, recognize that it's you and the customer versus the problem, not the customer, not you versus the customer
Right.
and the problem that they're having. It's not that. And I think sometimes when things get heated and it's hard to remember, okay, hold on. Let's take a break. You and I are on the same team, okay?
Right.
We both want the same thing. I want you to have good fixed equipment. You want the deliveries to be made or that driver to have to get from point A to point B
Right.
with
Safe.
everything that they're supposed to have safely. Correct.
Safely. Right.
And it's you and that driver or you and the customer whom that you're dealing with, it's you two versus that problem.
Right.
So those are good things to remember. It's hard for somebody to yell at you when you're smiling,
Exactly.
and it's you and the customer or the patron or whatever. This can
Whatever it
apply
is.
to so many industries,
Right.
but versus the problem.
Right.
That's the truth. So trying to remember that will help, I think, in my day-to-day thing.
There you go.
So that's our regular life and applying it a little bit there. Let's talk about scouts. Let's
All
talk about
right.
I want to know how you first got involved in scouting, period.
Well, actually, it was funny. My wife and I talked about this recently, and my son, who's in Eagle Scout now,
Mhm.
brought home a flyer from the school and says, "I want to join Cub Scouts."
Mhm.
And my wife's like, "Okay, well, we'll check it out." And I'm hoping I'm getting the story right, but anyway, she was like, "We'll check it out. It meets on, I think, a Tuesday night or a Thursday night or Monday, one of those days." It was with Troop or Pack 64. And so they went and checked it out. And um, at the time, I traveled a lot and everything like that. So she was really heavily involved in taking him to scouts and bringing him home and doing those events with him. And then, I got involved as he was getting older and, just helping out where I could. Probably the best scout leader we ever had, that meant a lot to a lot of scouts was Papa Bear. And
Yeah.
Papa Bear touched a lot of lives.
Mhm.
and he had a way, and him and his wife both had a way of getting people to help and do things with scouting. I think they were in scouting 40, 50 years. I
Mhm.
mean, so they dedicated their life to it. And we just, we started doing things with them, started camping out. The kids, I think in Cub Scouts, I only went on a couple of camp outs, but they sold popcorn. They sold, things to raise money. They went to Pinewood Derbies. They did just different things. And I guess it was through that process I started helping out with the different events that was going on in scouting.
Mhm.
And as he got older and ranked up through the Cub Scout ranks, he moved into to Boy Scouts.
Mhm.
And that's really where I truly got more involved because there was a lot more camping. My wife will tell you every time she does not like camping. She's been on several camping trips. It seems like the ones she goes on, they're always freezing cold or wet. So you
So
don't you,
far, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
you do
so
a lot of those. But we just, and then as I started doing it, it's one of those things. I saw things happening in the scouting roles, and I'm like, I really don't like the way things are going. So I was like, what can I do to help? How can
Mhm.
I, be more involved? Um, our kids were not getting their ranks like they were supposed to. They wasn't getting their recognition like they were supposed to. So I was like, you know what? I'll be the advancement chair. The advancement chair gets to talk to every scout, gets
Mhm.
to be part of what they're doing, try to encourage them.
Mhm.
The thing I told every scout is like, if you want to be an Eagle Scout, you got to put in the effort.
Mhm.
Your mom and dad can tell you you're going to be an Eagle Scout, but unless you want to be one, you can't be one.
Yes,
And
that's it.
I had scouts come to me and they're like, I don't want to be an Eagle Scout, and I'm like, okay,
Can
I'm
you
not
get to first class?
at least first class.
Can you
Yes,
get
that
to
was the
first class?
requirement. Uh, but most of them got to life. Most of them
Yeah.
got to Life Scout, and
Mhm.
I helped them on the way. If they needed a little help here, a little help there. But it was
Mhm.
funny because the parents would come to me. I want them to be an Eagle Scout. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is
Tell
the
them.
boys' decision. It's
Yeah.
not my decision. It's not your decision. They got to want it. I said, if
Tell
you're
them so.
forcing them to do it,
Mhm.
then they're not going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so I got involved in that. And as it continued to grow, um, you know, then Wood Badge came along. And that's where I got to meet, I
Yeah.
mean, tons of leaders.
Would you say that your life changed when you went to Wood Badge?
It did. It did in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. You had a lot of. I mean, once you go through the program, it's amazing in the sense of what it teaches you,
Mhm.
leadership roles, but it also teaches you life skills and life things that you don't think about.
Right.
Um, it helps you in your everyday life. Yeah, I mean, it's just not scouting; it's everyday life that the Wood Badge teaches you. Um,
Which is how we could speak about it. We spoke about just our regular life and how we applied scouting to our
exactly.
regular life before we even
Right.
mentioned
And
scouting.
you know, doing the tickets as they called them,
Mhm.
which is basically force volunteered to get
Yeah,
something
yeah,
done.
and
Um,
it's like several Eagle projects.
so it's basically 5 Eagle projects,
Yeah.
and so you basically go through project management.
Mhm.
So that's just like work, project
Mhm.
management. You do project management and what you're doing with customer service.
Mhm.
It
Lots of tiny little projects.
lots of little
Oh,
projects, but those big,
tiny.
but the end results is you got a happy customer.
That's true.
Hopefully.
That's true.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it is, but it was involved with my son being involved in scouting.
Mhm.
My daughter wasn't involved in scouting because
Mhm.
girls were not allowed at the time.
Mhm.
Now she probably went on more of the camping trips with boys than anybody else in the world
Mhm.
because she
Yeah.
was, everybody called her their little sister because she was on a lot of the camping trips with us.
Mhm.
But
There's a
it,
lot of strong opinion. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
oh, that's okay.
let's talk about it for just a second. There's a lot of strong opinions about it in both directions as far as,
Yes.
girls in scouting. I wanna say mine. I'm not sure if I think I have at least once or twice on the podcast so far, but I'm so glad now that they're able to do it because for me, it was a very important program, and I did witness some Girl Scouting from my sister, and some experience from when my mom was doing a lot of Girl Scouting stuff as well at the time. So, it's not a Girl Scouts is a great program too, but it's a different program, and
It's a very different program.
it's just very different the way that the ranks work, the way that the badges work. It's not bad. It's a great program. I think any youth getting involved in group youth positive
These
stuff
type of men, right?
fantastic. But this particular program allow this Scouting America now, um, the little sisters were going. They were going on
Yeah,
the campouts, like you
they
said.
were already there.
They were doing the stuff. They were doing everything that they were allowed to do.
Right.
Let them wear a uniform and earn the badges too.
Exactly.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I guarantee you my daughter would have probably done the whole program, if
100%.
if it wasn't the fact that they didn't allow it at the time. They did allow it in a sort of pseudo way of
Mhm.
venture scouting, but they had to be much
Yeah.
older.
A little bit older, and that was great too because I did the
Yeah.
venture program, and that was I had a great time, and those girls are some of us are still friends now, and the ones who aren't are just far away, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So so, that's yeah, I like that as well. We actually did a venture crew, reunion camp, I guess, 2 years ago, I think it was,
All
but
that.
that was so fun. I had a good time
Yeah.
doing
But I mean,
yeah.
look, like, again,
Of course, your son beat all of us there because he's so
yeah,
prompt.
he's always going to be on time or early.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
but that's part of the program too.
mhm,
His scoutmaster was very, very hard on him.
mhm,
And we always ask this, why was he so hard on him? And he
mhm.
goes, well, he was so stubborn in the fact that he wanted to prove himself always. So he goes, I knew I could push him a little further than another person. And he
It's
says,
yeah,
that was a good reason.
mhm,
So, I
and
mean,
it's not
look,
necessarily
it's hard.
yeah, yeah, it's not necessarily that he needs the push, it's that he can handle it, so he should maybe, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's
He
what he
can
did.
do those things, and he
Yep.
did. Yeah,
Yep.
he's so
I
cool.
mean, like I said, um, the Eagle Scout program has probably been one of the best things that's ever happened to him.
Mhm.
He did NYLT. He did what is the next level one that
Nail.
Nail? He did Nail, and he talks about that in his interviews. People will
Mhm,
see that on his resume, look at his resume, and go, "See, you're an Eagle Scout." Next thing you know, they're talking the next hour about his Eagle program, not
mhm,
what he could do up to that point, what he's done at that point. It's tell me about all this that you did beforehand, and a lot of it comes out the fact that they saw project management in there. They
mhm.
saw promptness. They saw, he was very organized with things. All that helped with his current position that he's in. He's as a branch manager at a bank now. They see that progression that he's a go getter, and I see that we've got I think 6 or 7 Eagle Scouts that um, currently work at my company, and that is but the best part about it, no one knew they were Eagle Scouts for the longest time. An Eagle Scout is not very brash about everything. They're very, they do things because they want to, and they do it because they've always done it that way. And I think that's also one of the Scout laws is they talk about it all the time. Helpful is one of those pieces of it that every Scout I've ever known, I guarantee you, if you saw somebody with a flat tire on the side of the road, what is your first thing? You try to stop and help. Am I
Can I
right?
get over quick enough?
Exactly. I mean,
Can I
if you
get
see
over quick
somebody,
enough?
I mean, honestly, it's one of those things. To me, scouting has taught a bunch of now boys and girls
Mhm,
the innate part of being helpful for everything, not just being helpful because you're asked to do it,
mhm.
but also to do it on your own without being asked.
It
Um,
doesn't mean going to every volunteer opportunity. You don't have to
exactly.
do that.
Exactly.
It but in your everyday life, if you see something that you can help,
Yep.
why not try to help?
Why
I
not try?
understand everybody doesn't have boatloads of time and boatloads of money to do
No.
all that, so you can't and you shouldn't.
Right.
But if you
I
can
mean,
if someone can think of you and think, "Oh, he's a helpful guy," you're
yep.
nailing it. You're
Yeah.
nailing it, you know?
And it comes back to you. It honestly does come back to you.
Yeah.
Uh, we had, the hurricane that actually created all the tornadoes that hit the Atlanta Motor Speedway
Mhm,
many years ago. I think it's 20 plus years now.
mhm.
Um, Prime example is, our house, my house currently that I'm in, got hit by that tornado.
Yeah.
The windows behind me was laying on my dining room table. And,
Mm.
you know, because of the fact of being helpful with my neighbors. Now, my neighbors had moved away. Now, they had moved to a house not too far from here, but they were the first to call me and ask, "Hey, are you okay? What's going on? How's your house?" And it's like, that pay it forward paid it back. And I mean, literally the day after our tornado, they came. It was in construction, so it really helped. He built houses.
Mhm.
He knew a company to get a roll off dumpster in my driveway that day. Everybody
Wow.
else is around me going, "How does he get a roll up dumpster in his driveway on day one of a tornado?" My neighbors next door go, "I can't even get my insurance agent to call me." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Sorry." I
Yeah.
know.
I think they unplug their phones after tornadoes.
Exactly. But I mean, we met so many people that day, and every one of them actually was a U.S. congressman.
Mhm.
He lived in a neighborhood near us. I never knew him. He
Wow.
came, brought his whole family, helped, and it wasn't a political statement. He was
No.
just helping because he saw our house was damaged the most around everybody.
Mhm.
Helped clean my house, yard up, and everything. And I'm
That's
like,
how
now,
you get to be a congressman. You act like a scout,
exactly,
you
yeah.
know? Act like
But
a scout.
it wasn't until after he finished that somebody walked up to me and goes, "You know who that is, right?" I'm like, "No, some guy down the road. I mean,
You're
he
like,
just came
"Fred?
home."
Is his name Fred maybe? I don't."
I can't recall his name, but he was a congressman for quite a while.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, it's our U.S. congressman." I was like, "Oh, very nice to meet him. Very cool."
Thanks for
But
the help. I'll
yeah,
vote
but I
for you
mean,
next time.
every day I see things, and at work, it's so funny as I actually get in trouble for being too helpful, because
I can
people will
attest.
need, and well, people, in technology, people will call me and go, "Hey, this is not working. I tried calling the help desk, but they can't get to me right now. Can you come help me?" Well, I'll go do it and fix it and come back to my desk and then go about my day. And then somebody will go, "Where you been?" I was like, "Oh, so and so's computer's not working. I went and fixed it." And they're like, "Well, you got your own job to do." I'm like, "Yeah, but you know,
You're
but
like,
it's
"But
like
I'm just trying to help."
I'm just trying to help." And it's sort of a detriment. And my boss tells me all the time. He says, "You always are helping to the point of your own detriment." And I'm like, he goes, "Sometimes things need to be done. Sometimes slide a little bit because you're helping so many people." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I get it done, right?" And he goes, "You do get it done. It just sometimes it's frustrating because we want it done now, and you
Mhm.
delayed it a little bit by doing something to help somebody else." So being helpful also can be a detriment. So
I'll start taking apart a recoil right at my desk and trying to, fix it right then and there because I know how to do it and I've got the parts are all here. Let me just pop it on here real quick. We'll send him on his way. I don't have to check in the weed trimmer now. It doesn't have to stay here for 3 weeks. I can fix it and he can go. And
yeah,
the walk-in technician, he's busy doing oil changes and tire jobs. And I'm like, let me not block him up with this recoil. Let me help. Let me help him and help this customer.
right,
Meanwhile, there's 4 more people in line,
exactly.
and I'm
They're
like,
all
"Oh,"
looking at you like,
and the spring's all a mess, and I'm trying to coil it back up and put it back in there, and they're stacking up, and I'm, "Oh, no, this is not working out as fast as," just to find out that the spool on the inside was broken anyways. So, as soon as I got it back together and pulled it, it didn't go back in. It's like,
"Well, I
"Well,
guess I'll be here 3 weeks."
yep, 3 weeks later, yes, sir, we
Yeah,
got it fixed for you."
yeah. But
And
but the good effect about that is the customer in front of you saw that
mhm.
you took the time to do it,
Mhm,
the
and the
try.
other thing is when I get to the next customer, when I get to the next person, I'm gonna give them the same amount of attention as the previous one. If it
Right.
requires doing a recall for them too, bring it
We'll do a
on,
recall.
bring it
Right.
on. We'll do it right here, right now, no problem. So let's see. Let's talk about NYLT just a bit and
Sure.
the first year that you, did volunteer adult staff on there.
It was probably one of the most stressful times I've had. And
Okay.
everybody was like, why was it stressful? First of all, you've got 20 plus kids that you know some of them, but you
Mhm,
don't know all of them.
mhm,
You've now mixed in boys and girls to the staff.
mhm,
So you're like, okay, how are we going to deal with that?
mhm.
You're now also dealing with leaders that also want to be the leader of the course as well. So it creates quite a bit of stress when you're trying to balance everybody and make sure everybody's happy with what they're doing, but also making sure the program gets out there to like it's supposed to get out there. Um, so yes, the first year was very stressful, but after the first year, it was a lot easier. Only for the fact that one, the course itself, now you know what to do with it. The staff, although new, you knew half of them because half of them come back. That part made it easier because of the fact you knew that the staff wanted to be there, and they literally volunteered in droves to try to come back. That to me tells you you've got the right program in place. You're doing the right thing. Something about it they enjoyed. I think I did it for 3 years or 4 years. It seemed like every year it came around, it just came and went so quickly. It was unreal. But
Could have been 10, who knows?
yeah, so but it was every year was a different mindset. You also had different personalities coming into it, different problems that came around it. You learned a lot from it. You know, things happen at the course that you're like, why does this have to happen? So it was, probably my last year was probably the most stressful. So I had the stress one at the beginning and the stress one at the end.
And a
Um,
nice cool center.
right. The center was fine, but overall it turned out a really great program. It's still going on, which tells me something they're doing right. But the funny part I always loved about it was everybody was like, "When does he sleep?" They would always ask, "When do you sleep?"
You were up at any given point.
Yeah, and um,
I
yeah,
remember those times. I'd be like, it's not even light outside yet, and everybody's just getting up, but Mr. Collett looks like he's been up for hours already, you know? What have you
yeah,
been doing?
it was because a lot of it was just fun to see the groggy kids when they wake up and
Yeah,
they're like, "What? You're already up? How is that possible?"
yeah.
And again, they didn't go to bed till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm, mhm.
So, and I knew that, but
Yeah,
it was a responsibility that I had to make sure everybody was safe, things were done right, and people stayed the way where they were supposed to stay at night. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
always fun. That had to be the most funny part was kids would walk up and I'm like, "Aren't you supposed to be in your tent?" And they're like looking around like, "Where's that voice coming from?" And I'd be standing in the woods and it's like, "Go to your tent." They're like, "Y'all do watch?" I'm like, "Yes, we do. Go to bed."
Just pop up out of an empty tent out of nowhere,
Yeah.
back to the tent, and
And
then
the
back
best part, a lot of
in.
times after the first weekend of it, they didn't try it again. So,
Nope,
um,
nobody wanted to test you.
yeah.
Nobody wanted because behind that smile, we don't know. We just don't know. You might
Yeah.
be thinking of some awful things that, "Oh, no, wait, he can't do that. Yes, he can," with a
Yes,
smile
again.
on his face.
But, again, those were good times. Again, every graduation was great. Probably the most fun was when the staff did the campfires. The
Yeah,
first demonstration of campfires and what y'all did and the songs. I mean, it was
some
just
of the most fun I
unbelievable.
think I've ever had in my life
Yeah,
was planning the campfires was almost as fun
as
because
doing them.
we're yeah, as doing them because we're planning it, and we'll act out a skit or do a song, we're like, "Nah, maybe not this one, let's do a
Yeah,
different one," and then we do a different one, and it goes back to the same one we did before, and it was just
exactly.
better. It was just better.
Yeah.
It's
So, I
those
mean,
are
the campfires were probably the best. and you could always tell at the end of every course, all the kids when they left, they took with them things that the staff gave them. And just the campfire. You see the campfire skits later on. It's like, okay, that was a uniqueness to that one campfire that we did, that
Hmm.
they still are now playing it every year. And you'd
Yeah.
see that at a different campfire that they're doing it at,
Mhm.
camporee or spookery or whatever. And it's like, hey, we started that.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the addition to Baby Shark to what was it? We added Teenage Shark. Remember the Teenage Shark with the thumbs and doing the
Oh,
like the game?
yes, yes.
Baby Shark didn't have Teenage Shark.
Oh, no, they didn't have that.
So we added that. Next thing you know, every campfire had Teenage Shark. And you're like, it stuck.
It's
And
stuck.
so,
The one of the things that stuck with me like that type of thing was, from when I was a participant for
yeah,
NYLT before I was staff, was the flag ceremonies when they bring out and they snapped that flag open.
yeah, yeah,
That I remember that, and I was like, "We're doing that from now on. We're doing
yep,
that from now on." And when it came time to do summer camp, we weren't doing that at summer camp. When I staffed at summer camp down at they hadn't done it like that. If they had, it had been years prior, but they
right.
kind of stopped. And I remember saying, "We're gonna do this," what we did at NYLT. And luckily, there were some NYLT staffers on camp staff
Yeah,
as on summer camp staff as well. So I was like, let's teach them how to do it like this. And that's how we did it. And it was just
stuck.
glorious. It was glorious. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
I remember, for a while there, I would hear about troops being called to come do flag ceremonies at events.
Hmm.
And it was because of those things.
Hmm.
They're like, they were sharp. We wasn't military.
No.
We were not a military group. And they would go and do events, and you'd hear the guy in the background at the ROTC. They're like, that was sharp. Look at that. That was cool.
It's fun when the ROTC kids and the scout kids, they mix,
Yeah.
and then you get some really sweet flag ceremonies.
Yes, you do.
Really, there's real. I
So,
liked it. And I was in ROTC as well, so
right.
I got to do the marching correctly. And I was like, "This is what Gunnery Sergeant Stackhouse told us to do." So I'm going to teach my scouts how to do it too.
Exactly. And the thing is, it was a pride thing.
Hmm.
When they did it, you could tell there was a pride in doing it.
It
Uh,
feels good. It
it
feels good to look sharp and
it
have
does.
everything in order.
And our company does a symposium every year, and
Mhm.
for 5 or 6 years, they actually had scouts come do our opening ceremony for our flags. And
Nice.
every year it was so amazing because you've got probably 400, 450 people in this one room.
Mhm.
And then you see this one scout silently walk up to the front, and he gets on the corner of the stage, and everybody's looking like, what is
What
he
is
doing?
this? What's with
You
the
know,
neckerchief?
and there's no microphone on him or nothing. And and you just hear him bellow out the commands. And
Mhm.
everybody in the room just stands still perfectly like, yes, sir. And we're gonna
Just
do this.
yeah.
It was always a standing ovation. It was always everybody talked about it after the event. Says, who were those scouts? Where'd they come from? I want to meet them. And the boys usually stayed the whole weekend with us, so they
Nice.
worked well. They were helpful. We put them to work. They got fed very well, lobster and steak in some cases,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so they love to stay. But they really, it showcased what scouting was about, and and being all the scout law, and
Mhm.
but they were anything that needed to be done. Again, being helpful, that's what they did.
Mhm.
Um, you know, each of the points of the law, there's a reason for each of those points.
Which
Um,
one do you think is the most important to you?
which one is the most important?
They're all important for sure, but which to you, which one is the most important?
Probably reverent.
Reverend?
Probably
Hey,
reverent.
that was an easy answer, Mr. Collette.
It was, and
That
the
was
reason
pretty
why, I mean, if no one's ever been to camp on Sunday morning and gone down to the camp church, as I call it,
Mhm.
and just been there, it's the most peaceful time you can have. And it's probably the most important of all the scout law because to me, each law has its reason. I mean,
Mhm.
they're not there for just because.
It's not
But
just to say it at the meetings.
right, yeah, yeah. Everybody always throws their hand up and they can state it until that. But and it's so funny is as a little kid, they're just stating it. But as they grow up through it, they actually start meaning it. And you can tell when they start understanding it later in their life by how they act out. And that really, the ones that stay in scouting the whole program, you can tell a difference in them and the ones that drop out because something changed their mind and it wasn't for them. But yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, probably Reverend would be probably the most important. Um, we always laugh clean was okay, but most of the time you didn't have a clean scout. They
Yeah.
were always dirty in some way. Um, but you know, Reverend definitely would fall in there.
I think for me, it changes all the time.
Right.
It depends on what's going on in my life at the time. Um, cheerful has been pretty important to me lately because I've
Right.
had to think about it often and had to think about it. Just have to let's be cheerful regardless of how I'm feeling anyways,
Right.
um, which also goes to being kind and friendly as well. I find myself having to think about those a lot just because I feel like I'm getting bitter, and maybe it's just what happens as you're almost 30. Maybe that's just how you're like, oh, the world really is as dark as those movies say it is. you know,
Sometimes it is.
sometimes it can be, and so I have to remember to be helpful, kind, courteous, those
Courteous,
things.
especially
Yeah.
when your job is courteous.
Mhm.
Usually,
Yeah.
like you said, when someone walks in that door, they're not in the best of moods.
They're coming because they have a problem,
Exactly.
or they're coming to pay for it.
They don't like that either.
No, mostly not, unless I can make it free.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
they love
And
that.
that happens sometimes.
It happens often. It happens so often, but it gets drowned out, you know? It does
Right.
get drowned out.
What
Anyway.
what is it? It takes what, five attaboys to one negative?
Yeah, and it's true, and you kinda like some of we're on a podcast now, so I do listen to some podcasts, and a lot of the comedy podcasts that I listen to, they're like, "Don't even read the comments.
Yeah.
Don't read the comments because there's going to be several hundred good comments, and then there's gonna be a couple really ugly, mean, nasty ones, and those are the only ones you're gonna read."
That's the only one you'll remember.
I'll skip over "Good job, great podcast" to "What's wrong with your left ear?" You know? I don't know. What's wrong with
So, and like I said, someone will make a comment about this podcast. We made some sort of comment about something someone won't like.
for sure,
Everybody's not cheerful out there. Everybody's not helpful out there.
or friendly.
Uh, fruit. So, but I mean, you're trying to appeal to the masses, and you'll see who really likes or don't like. Is what you're finding.
Just to we'll go into the inside baseball part of this for just a moment. I'm
Sure.
wondering, Walker and I have obviously talked a lot about all this, and if you want to listen back to any of the other shows, you'll see the kind of things that we talk about and what we're doing. I am of the opinion that this is geared more towards adults and adult scouters, want to be scouters or have used to be scouters or current scouters.
Right.
I don't think this is gonna be geared more towards youth very much.
It
Although
may be changed. The format would be changed definitely to gear towards the youth because the youth want to see it a certain way
Mhm.
and have to be given to it in a certain way.
You have to be quick, and yeah, you
You
gotta
can
be
only hold their attention for 3 seconds, and you're losing
yeah.
them. So
I found myself guilty of that, I'm not necessarily a kid, but I'm still very young compared to most of the population of the world. So, I found myself watching, trying to find something to watch on it was just a lazy day, we're hanging out, so I was turning on the TV just to find something to kill an hour or so, and I was
yeah,
watching a movie, and I thought to myself, "Dang, this is kinda boring, let me change to another one." And so I watched a little bit of another one, and I thought, "Dang, this is kinda boring, let me move to another one," and I was like, "I'm just scrolling through reels on the TV." That's what I'm doing. I can't hold this attention, but wow, it's really and I thought to myself, oh man, I'm just as bad as the kids.
Exactly. It's
It's
got to
so
grab them
funny.
and it's got to hold them, and then their attention's got to be kept, which is
It's got to
very
be
hard.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think long form conversation may not be the most entertaining thing to young minds, but
They're-
for me, when I was 19 and 20 and 21, doing more of a labor based job where I'm working at the same place, but I did a different job altogether.
right.
But mostly pulling down boxes, opening them, putting the stuff together, unloading trucks, loading trucks, and putting lawnmowers together, hooking up batteries. So I could put in an earbud and listen to a podcast, and I love that.
Yeah.
I could listen. I continue to listen to podcasts even now. I've moved more towards books because the conversation, listening to comedians just shoot the crap. I was like, "Ah, okay, all right.
Heard that, done
Yeah,
that.
let me listen to a crazy story, or let me learn some history. Let me try
Right.
to listen to a book about ancient Rome or something, which is always really interesting to me.
History
So
is very interesting.
yes, so I just mean ancient Rome is fun.
Oh, ancient Rome in general.
In
Okay.
particular, I think a lot of guys would agree. Have you thought about ancient Rome in the past month? Probably, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
The Roman Empire.
yeah,
The
the Roman Empire, yeah.
fact that we have running water because of the Roman Empire.
See, here we go. What
Yeah.
about that concrete that self-heals? What about that?
There you go. The Romans started all that.
They're really cool, man. They're really cool.
Without the
I don't
Romans,
really
we wouldn't have a lot of things.
That's true, yeah. Um, all right, let me see. I had some good questions. Let me let me see where I wrote them
Pull them
at.
up.
Well,
And we lost the audience because of the silence.
yeah, man, they're gone, especially the young ones. They're gone. It says you when I sent you the StreamYard link, you're
Yep,
able to fill out your name and then put a little tagline under there, and you put on there former scout leader. And I'm
correct.
curious, are you going to would you ever get back involved like if you have grandkids?
I don't know. I mean, it
Yeah.
really depends. One, they'd have to live close by, which is right now. They're both my kids are far away, in the sense they're more than um, the. I think the furthest away my son is 2.5, 3 hours now. My daughter is 2 hours away.
Wow.
So, but the
That
best part is,
house got a lot bigger than just then, didn't it?
yeah,
Oh,
the,
no.
the I guess the fun part would be if they did get into scouting.
Mhm,
Um, it'd be one of those things where I could probably help them along the way
mhm.
from afar. And
Okay.
now with Zoom and all the other platforms to do
Mhm,
video conferencing, I mean FaceTime, you know, you could probably, if they got into scouting, hey, I'm at a camp out. Look at this. Check out that. And be like, yep, we did that,
mhm.
and encourage them. So unless they were close by, it'd be a little hard.
Yeah.
Uh, but again, um, I mean, Will's grandparents went on a few of the camp out, or not. I don't think they went on the actual camp outs, but they came to some of the Cub Scout events,
Mhm,
and that made a big difference to his life. I think.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
my grandfather joined me on my first camp out for Spookery. That was
there
my
you
very
go.
first one. Um, I joined as a wolf. I didn't
Okay,
join as a tiger. I got the flyer as well, but my grandfather worked for the Atlanta Area Council. He
that's right.
retired from the Atlanta Area Council, actually. So when I brought the flyer home finally, everybody was like, "Yes, finally. All right, let's do it. Let's do it." And,
Yeah,
he went with us to that first, Spookery camp out, and pretty dang impactful there,
yeah.
being an
But
Eagle
no,
Scout.
I think it would be fun also. Um, just them going like Cub Scouts. There's a lot of fun in Cub Scouts. Again, it's more of a getting them ready for Boy Scouts.
Right.
And but once they get to Boy Scouts, even if they're a girl, either one,
It's
scouting.
okay. We'll get over it. It's
Yeah,
alright.
scouting in general.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck in the Boy Scout mode.
Everybody that we've had as a guest so far has said that, and it's
Yeah,
about it.
Uh,
We all have to get used to it.
we do, and it takes time. I mean, it takes time. I mean, so if we have a granddaughter or a grandson, if they get into scouting, it would be fun just working with them on their merit badges,
Yeah.
um, seeing what they learn, how they learn it, being part of it.
Mhm.
Um, that really, that was a lot of fun too. Going to my son's merit badge days, and he would take a class, and you're there all day anyway, so you might as well go check a class out. Well,
Mhm.
then next thing you know, you're teaching one of the classes, and
Been there.
yeah, that But the interesting part is I taught several different classes, and every time they walked in, the first thing I said is, "We're not going to read the book. We're not going to just go by the book and answer A, B, C. We're gonna have fun with this." And I think it was interesting. I actually met the parent of an Eagle Scout that says he remembered me because of the merit badge day, and we had it. It was on transportation, and we
Mhm.
had it at Bennett, where I work, and he remembered it because we made it fun, and that was the key. We always had to make it fun. Even the sit in the community, sit in the nation, those can be very boring if you sat through those.
Yeah.
Um, your dad taught all three of them,
Mhm.
and he always made them fun. And that's what I think made such an impact on the kids that took his classes. And
Mhm.
it was that if you make it fun, they enjoy it. If it was not fun, they're like, "Oh, I'm never doing this again." I don't
Mhm.
want to do another sit in the nation because that was the boringest thing I ever sat through.
Yeah.
Uh, but again, you would find it's interesting all the information they learned from it.
Yeah.
You talk to them, hey, the three branches of government? Well, yeah, I do.
Mhm.
Why do you know that? Because, well, I sort of did that in a merit badge day. They're taking history now and they're asking, do you know the three branches of government? Yeah, I do. I already know that. I do that, before I even started high school. They're like, you did? How? That's
Mhm.
how it, was part of it is the merit badge days.
I enjoy Mirror Badge Day. I went and I helped teach. Uh, I forget which district it was at the moment, but it doesn't matter. I went and taught the communications and public speaking merit badge.
Very hard.
And we'll go back for a second about NYLT. I would not have the confidence that I have public speaking and speaking in front of a group or crowd if it weren't for NYLT. Not scouts, but in
Right.
particular going to NYLT and then staffing at NYLT. You know,
Exactly.
I think every scout, if provided the opportunity, and has the type of mindset that they want to be leadership and stay in leadership in the scouts, definitely should go to national youth leadership training. And if you're really serious about it, try to get on staff.
Exactly.
Put
I
your
think,
best foot forward when you're going as a
yeah,
participant, and try to do your best for them to want you to come. This one, they need to come back to scout. They need to come back and staff this,
yeah,
because if
too.
you get to staff that type of experience, I mean, goodness gracious.
They learn it twice.
Yeah, and
You're
better the
being,
second time.
yeah, they learn it. Well, they learn it in the first year when they're actually a participant, but then when they come back and staff it, they're like, "Oh, this really does make sense now. What I'm talking about," because now
Yeah,
they're talking about what they learned.
mhm,
So it's reinforcing it.
yeah, and I know it would senior youth staff, there's not a lot of opportunities for everybody to do that, but
Right.
I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had to serve as assistant senior patrol leader and then as senior patrol leader,
Exactly.
because every year and every presentation that I gave, I got better at it. I learned the reasoning behind the
Yep.
program better. And then as an adult, and I'll admit, I did this too young, and I wish now that I hadn't done it. I went to Wood Badge, and I was 18, and I think it was still a great program. And in the position that I was in at that, I wasn't 18. Yeah, I was 18. In that position that I was in at the time, I thought it was a good idea, but I wish that I had waited, and I'd wished that I could. I probably will go back and do Wood Badge again because
Yeah.
I didn't complete my tickets.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
didn't?
complete.
Okay.
I didn't get my beads. I never earned them.
Okay.
So I still have my little participant neckerchief, and that's the only one I'll have until I decide to do this again or do wood badge
But
again.
you'll
But
understand the program better the second go around.
well, the thing that I was gonna say is that the experience that I had from staffing NYLT so many times, it made me feel like I was ahead of this class for wood badge. And so for the youth that have grown now and are listening to this podcast, if you haven't done wood badge yet, wait till you have kids in the program and then do it, because then it'll
Okay.
really click in there the right way, the way that it's supposed to. Because I was just like, well, this I learned all this stuff in high school. I'm doing it in college now. It's the same class. I'm
Yeah.
not going to pay as much attention as I should, and I didn't, and I beat myself up for it all the time now, especially talking to people like you who are from that time and the wood badgers, like you, all of you. I love all of you guys so much because you're with my dad doing wood
Yeah.
badge, so I got to know so many wood badgers and scouters that way that I feel they probably are not disappointed in me for it,
They're not.
but I feel like they are a little bit. You know what I
You
mean?
just put it in yourself.
Just a little bit. It's me.
Yeah.
It's all me. I know that. It's me holding a mirror up in front of their face and that's not so anyways, wood badge. Tell me about your participation and staffing on wood badge. We talked a little bit about NYLT.
Well, I'm one of the elusive critters. I'm an
Okay.
antelope.
Okay.
So the year that we had wood badge, we were the first antelopes.
Nice.
So, but it's also the interesting part is we were also probably the most disconnected group that there was. Like each member of my group was very disconnected from each other.
Mhm.
But Wood Badge brought us together more so because it helped us each learn that everybody's not the same. Everybody doesn't have the same goals, their same reasons why they were there. Um, and it's one of those, um, looking back at it, I mean, we had the best group of people, and we really didn't know it because we were so different from everybody else. Everybody else sort of knew each other. They were already in troops together.
Mhm.
My Wood Badge group, not a single one of us was in the same troop. So nobody knew anybody. So we're like trying to figure each other out. And at the same time, we're figuring each other out. We're like, what is this person going to do to help us? And how is this person going to help us? But it really helped in the end, with putting us in places where we were uncomfortable, where
Mhm.
we had to try our best to be the best we could be. And, you know, I think everybody but one of my members of my group were beaten. And we worked with each other after the fact to make sure everybody worked to finish them. And there was a goal there for us to be part of each other's life for a long time.
Mhm.
Uh, so that made a big impact. Well, then you always wanted to get invited to be on staff.
Yeah.
And then it was like, will I be good enough to be invited on staff? And then you get that phone call, say, hey, would you like to be on staff? And you're like, oh my God, they want me on staff, because there was 48 other people they could pick from. And they're like, all these people. And then you get on staff and you're like, well, half of these people already know each other. So now I'm starting all over again.
Yeah.
So, but it was a lot of fun.
What was your first position on staff when you served staff?
I think I was a quartermaster.
Quartermaster. That's a good first position to have.
Quartermaster was on, and you know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every aspect of my jobs. You know, you know, getting up in the morning again. I didn't sleep much then either. I still don't.
Mhm.
But it's like I pride to myself in making sure I got whatever job needed to be done got done.
Mhm.
And again, that was the other side of it is making sure that the Wood Badge and NYLT and everything had the most technology involved as possible to help the staff become a better staff.
Mhm.
Um, Again, Wood Badge brought out some things that um, made things better in the sense of presentations. Doing
When
presentations.
you brought that monitor to have up there, and instead of having to use cards every time, you still use the cards, but when you
Yeah,
put a monitor up in front, that was a game changer.
it
I
was.
remember that. That was such a I was like, "Wow, you have an
Yep.
HDMI cord that long?
Yep. We'll stretch it from the back of the room.
That's crazy. I didn't know
So
you could do that."
yeah, and so I mean, and that was the thing that I kept seeing as like, why are we struggling with things? Why are we got to do things because we did it this way before? And so we changed it. We try to make it different and try to make it better. And honestly, I think it helped the youth and the adults get
Yeah,
a better program out of it.
I think so too. I think you're right on
So
that.
yeah,
Um, anything to be helpful, right?
eh, that was my goal.
Yeah.
Everybody was always, and it's like they were like, "Oh, can we get like 6 laptops so that everybody can have a laptop while we work on stuff?" And it's like, sure, I'll
Yeah,
find 6 laptops
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
We'd show up with 6 laptops, and they're like, "Where do you get all the laptops? Just don't ask. Just
Hey,
it'll be all right."
hey, you needed laptops? I got
Yeah,
laptops.
yeah. So, you remember the books,
Yes.
the
Mhm,
master copies that everybody had to have?
mhm.
I remember doing those. I mean, it
Oh,
was
man.
just like, they used to pay to have the books made. And
Yeah.
it was like, why are we paying? Like, just give me the PDF. I'll take it to work and print it at work. They're like, you can print 48 books at work. They're like, yeah, they don't care.
I could
And,
print 49.
yeah, exactly. So, and I think that made a big difference because, staff was always short on money uh,
Mhm.
because they always needed money for everything. And
Yeah.
camp was always asking, hey, you're barely making budget. Well, we can cut this and we'll definitely make budget now.
Mhm.
So whatever I could do, I would always try to help in every way I could.
And that's evident, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show, and I'm glad that you were able to join me this evening, and, maybe we'll do another one sometime. That'd be
That'd be
cool. We'll hit
great.
another we might get through all the points of the scout law, or I might need your help on another one.
Hey, I'm here all the time. Give me a
I
call,
know.
text me. I'll
I
be
know.
willing to help you.
I know. I can count on you to be helpful. And anyways, I hope you have a good rest of your evening,
You
and
as well.
I'll be in touch with you soon.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Let's see. Thank you guys for joining me on this week's episode of Aids to Scouting. Look for us next Thursday. We'll have another episode up. See you then.